Hi everyone, and Vlogmas is upon us, and every year I see people planning for vlogging every day during December with delightful Christmas material, and I consider diving right into the festive zeitgeist only to realise Christmas for me, it's great and all, but it's essentially just a week off. No trees, no advent calendars, no making delightful little gingerbread houses. Then I saw a tweet which was basically asking, what is your biggest achievement of the decade? And I thought, a decade? That's something. So the challenge I always have with things like Vlogmas, and such things as vlogging every day in August, is content and time. I feel it's a lot of content. That's primarily because I'm hard on myself and I don't want to just make a series of mundane follow me around vlogs, as I tend to think those are things just that you'll suffer. As the tweet I read suggested, this is the end of a decade, and a lot has happened in that decade. People have been posting images of themselves at the start and end of the decade, answering questions on Twitter about their greatest achievement. It got me thinking about a longer narrative, the stories of the trials and tribulations of one man's decade. I did some thinking, and I decided it was a thing. I guess the question is though, so what? Why would you be interested? I guess I'm fortunate in undertaking this endeavour because I was born in 1971, so my life decades almost exactly map to the dated decades. This means my so-called decade is essentially the story of one man's fourth decade, and it's been a challenging one. The one I've changed the most in. I also don't think it's unrepresentative of other people's experiences. I've come to believe your fourth decade is destined to be eventful. And I didn't really have any wiser older person preparing me for it, so it came as quite a shock. While this potentially changes between the generations, for those of my generation, your 20s are racked with inexperience and trying to get a hold on life. Your 30s are like a decade of consolidation. You're making strides in your career, hopefully, focusing on a growing family. I suspect most men would pick their mid-30s, give or take a decade in either direction, as the age they'd lock in place, if they had an option. Your 40s are different though. You become more conscious of the fact that in your 40s more of your life may have gone by than you potentially have left. And when you realise that, it is quite profound. Significant life changes kick in, like kids may be leaving the home for one reason or another. People get divorced. It is total anecdotal evidence here, but I know 5 people who got divorced in their 40s due to life changes in that decade. They themselves then know handfuls of people who also got divorced in their 40s. Someone told me the 50s is when a man's body breaks down. I have that to look forward to, and he did tell me this 15 years ago, and you never know, due to the miracles of modern medical science, I may have an easier time of it. But it is probably suffice to say that in your 50s you do start worrying about some of those medical things that come with age. So I do honestly believe the telling of the story of one man's fourth decade is a story that's worth telling. And I will also admit that some of it is a personal challenge. The achievement of releasing daily vlogs for an extended period of time, as well as turning the events of the decade into what are hopefully interesting videos and an engaging narrative over time. I can certainly be guilty of creating content that is a personal challenge to me. So welcome to my so-called decade. Hit the like button, subscribe so you don't miss a video, and certainly comment as the story unfolds, and let's continue to make small great changes to make life a story worth telling.